Challenges of working at home. You really can't work in your pajamas. What a great thought. And one that many office workers fantasize about on almost a daily basis, but, while working at home has benefits, it also has its challenges. And some of those challenges are things that you just might not consider as you make the transition from office to home office. For instance, children at home can interrupt conference calls, ask questions while you're on the phone with clients, and scream at each other while you are trying to compose an important report or email. Children are just one of the challenges you'll face. If your spouse and children are at home during the day, you'll be interrupted with questions almost every hour. You'll go to the bathroom and be face to face with your next house project that you haven't yet finished. Each time the phone rings, people who don't belong in your office will come flying in to see if the person on the other end is calling for them. Once you are past the challenge of the interruptions in your home office, you'll find that there is less distinction between work and home. When you are at the office, you leave work to come home. But now, with work sitting on your laptop in the office, just down the hall from the kitchen, it's all too easy to trot down for another 30 minutes to finish up some research. 30 minutes turns into 2 hours, and the children who felt neglected all day by your disappearance into the closed-door room are now dejected because they can't spend time with mom or dad. Your spouse loses time with you, and your mental health suffers because it seems you never seem to leave work. It all rests on your shoulders. One of the characteristics that many look forward to independence is the factor that can lead to the ultimate downfall of working at home. Managerial supervision may cramp your creative side, but it gives you structure that you do not have to create for yourself. Freedom is a double-edged sword. Unless you are highly motivated and organized, a home work environment can create more problems than it solves. However, these are characteristics that you can learn if you recognize the need and face the issues. Structure, schedules, distractions, and time management are all obstacles that must be addressed when you choose to either work from home or take the entrepreneurial plunge and start your own business at home. Remember that fantasy of working home in your pajamas? Well, it just ain't true, and if you take the time to pay attention to your work-at-home wardrobe, you'll be taking the first steps toward addressing the challenges with structure, schedules, distractions, and time management. The truth of the matter is that people are more productive, work harder, produce better quality, and have greater results when they get dressed. In fact, research shows that just putting on a pair of shoes will help. Professors from the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University found that people who dressed in clothing commonly associated with care and attentiveness performed better on the Stroop test. This visual test asks participants to identify the color on a card and not the word. For instance, the participants would identify the card as red when it was colored red but had blue written on it. Those wearing lab coats made half as many errors as those who were dressed more casually. I love the thought of stretching lazily in bed, eating breakfast, and not getting dressed. I could saunter over to my computer, sit down, and get to work. In reality, most people who don't get dressed will find themselves eating more, watching more TV, taking more breaks, and getting less done. When you don't dress up for your workday, you also tend to work from the time you get up in the morning until you go to bed at night. Unfortunately, that doesn't equate to being more productive, and working from sunup to bedtime just isn't healthy. It doesn't mean you can't work long hours, but you have to split your time so you do have time off and can unplug. You'll increase your ability to produce at work when you can fully focus on what you're doing. Now, there are people who can work all day in their pajamas. There are always a couple of people to prove a theory wrong, but the majority of people just can't work this way and produce good work. The best way to determine if you are one of those people who can work in your pajamas or sweatpants all day is to do your own scientific study. Whether you are in PJs or not, you'll still be working, so whether you work or not is enough of a measurement of productivity. Instead, start with an activity list that you make each evening. Break the tasks into 3 groups so that each group contains tasks that take about the same amount of time in Group 1, Group 2, and Group 3. Over a period of 4 to 6 days, spend half the number of days in your PJs or sweats and the other half in casual work clothing. During each of the days, set goals to achieve similar amounts of work or the same number of items from Group 1, Group 2, or Group 3. When you are done with those 4 or 6 days, evaluate the amount of work you got done on the days you were in casual work clothes, and the days you were in PJs or sweats. Only you can determine how you work best. But even if your productivity is increased a small amount each day, those small percentages add up over the days and weeks you are working in your own business.